This is my 14th encore. I think I paid for half of them. I told so many people in Hawaii, yeah, just come, don't worry about it. I think the count is really 6,000 people. You count all the people from Hawaii who are just walking around. But yeah, 14 years. I've been in and outs of encore in leadership. Got hired on a staff this year to help with a lot of the workshops and the presenters and keynotes that we had this year. Working alongside really for Auntie Noi Noi Wong and Paul Case and Big Sister Mahina. And it's been a real privilege that they thought I could do something like this, right? And then to see this come to fruition, because space for Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander people at encore has been scarce for a long time. But the last 5 years we've been rocking and rolling. And this is really our time to come through, and as Hawaii is the host for this year's conference, it's just the launching pad for whatever it is we want to do and whatever course we want to sail. So I appreciate everyone that's here right now. And we're gonna do, it's just a really brief overview, y'all. I've been, I said 14 years. Our presence at encore has been very limited. So our access to encore has been normally through APNCOR, which is the Asian Pacific Islander Caucus. I served as a chair when I was a student. And one of the first things I did was advocate for the NHPI keynote. And the very first person to represent our people at encore ever was Kumu Hamani K. Trask. And then that other guy that was me 100 pounds ago, smiling. But yeah, since I was an undergrad student, just been coming, and for most of the part, with groups like APNCOR, I really appreciate their support. The Native and Indigenous delegation has been really monumental for a lot of Islander folks. But I literally would put the P in APNCOR half the time. And there's a few people I see in the room, and if you came, like I'm looking at Crystal right now, it would be us two sometimes, right?
Hey, we hold it down though.
Yeah, we hold it down. And then some of the folks that are in the building, a lot of our accomplices, Dr. Rek Kuwata was in the building right now, just making space to infiltrate a lot of those spaces we couldn't get into in the API spaces and make room for us. And so there's all these familiar faces here. And we try to show up in the way that we can. So I'm just preferencing that Hanani was the first recommendation that I made. I'm going to use I very rarely, but in these early days, it was literally I. And I can't wait for it to be we. Because the only other second keynote we've ever had from our community was also a recommendation I had to make. And that was Kathy Jedno Kitchener from the Marshall Islands. And then all these poor people, I suckered them in to do work. Our keynote for Saturday, Dr. David Balaita. You know, like your family friends, when they ask you to move and you just pay them with beer and pizza. That's sort of what we did. And we were this timeline too, but I mean, we just showed up. This is literally the planning committee in Oklahoma City, where I just kind of screamed and yelled at everybody, I'm tired of being the P in APNCOR. I'm tired of being the only Pacific Islander, the only representation, the Oceania. We need to get our people. And we're gonna go over that timeline real quick, but then I'm gonna go over the agenda so that I'm not just talking to folks and we can build community and what the goal is for today's meeting and the next meeting. I need one of those clickers. Yeah. So everything kind of accumulated last year at the planning committee. This is our Native and Indigenous group with what would eventually build out to be the ocncore planning committee from last summer. And that's really what kind of brought us where we're at right now. So APNCOR started in 2000. Like I mentioned, that first keynote didn't happen until 2009. So I didn't take leadership until 2008. But it was the first time we saw someone in our space. By the way, Hanani's keynote was my favorite keynote of all time. I used to, also a student in her class at UH Monmouth. She just has a great way of pissing everyone off in the best ways. But in 2013, we formally made the request with ocncore that we would attempt to build out our own NHPI space and started formulating workshops. So NT-Pool would actually come to ocncore about every other year to do presentations. And then a group that did a workshop for like Pacific Island Student Services, myself and Brett was in the room, and Tokalago, who's not here right now. But in 2017 and 19, we started focusing on specific, like what was going to best serve our people at ocncore, right? So I should ask, who's here for the first time at ocncore? Yeah, see, that's not shocking, right? Because like I said, it's usually just been me and 3 other people. Now we're all here. We decided, like, right, we gotta make a space for folks. And so we, in 2019, hosted our first ever pre-conference that was just for Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander students. I see Bree Kalima's in the room who helped out with that. Dr. Bid was part of the initial stuff as well. But then the pandemic hit, and so we kind of took a back seat for a little bit. But luckily, because I live in Portland, Oregon right now, the conference came back to Portland. You know, Portland didn't know what to do with all these people of color. We were really tripping out. I think people were like really scared when they saw these black and brown faces around. Portland's the whitest city without a salt in the lake in the name. You got it in there. And then, after post-pandemic came, we did have an opportunity to actually have our very first ocncore table. So, Dr. Kehalani Vaughn, who's now in Utah, was at UCLA at one point, and with Dr. Palaita, we started the very first planning committee crew, and which has led to us having a table every year since. And so this is what ocncore is now trying to accomplish, because at this very inaugural meeting, we're looking to recruit, inspire folks to take up leadership at ocncore. It is a labor of love. It's not paid. Your registration might be paid, and you'll be flown out to whatever like planning committee things we have to do. But we'll kind of go in the next couple of slides and talk about what that looks like and what the commitment might be. So. There are all these caucus groups at ocncore, right? All the communities have them. I would say like only about 7-8 years ago, there were only 5 groups. And now I think we're closer to 10, so we've doubled in size. And one of the groups that came out was obviously our group, which is starting today. But those groups are the focus points for recommendations for workshops, keynotes, themes, programs that happen at ocncore. And so why this is so important for us is if we want to have a presence at a national conference like ocncore and be in the conversation around race, ethnicity, around social justice in this medium, we have to organize ourselves. And one of the ways we can do that is starting this group. And so our goal with ocncore is to, like I said, recruit, recommend, and retain. And how we're going to do that throughout the year is hopefully by the end of tomorrow, we can get some nominations of folks who are interested to step into leadership with ocncore. I am actually contracted out to support whoever gets put on the leadership, so we'll be working with folks, training, and giving you the resources to take up this role. Today, for a little bit today, and mostly tomorrow, this group will also be able to give recommendations, and so we'll have poster paper up with pens, and folks will be doing some think tanking to say, hey, these are some names you should consider, here are some themes for workshops we should go after, here's some, this and that that's gonna really enhance the experience for our voices at ocncore. And then the last one is to retain, and so we do that a lot of ways of just like trying to find ways for us to hang out, be in space together. I'll announce some of the social things that are happening this evening. And you know how we do, there's always food and drink, so hopefully y'all are available tonight. But yeah, so this is This is basically like what we do in the caucus groups. It's just that now we have our own. Okay, before I keep going, does anyone have any questions? And we have chairs in the front, the circle chairs are all available. And then, so this is a room for the combo. Yeah, this is not room. So that's what we're doing today and tomorrow, and then past today or past encore, whoever's on this team, we're gonna take all these notes and recommendations. There is a summer retreat that happens, a planning retreat in Oklahoma City. Caucus chairs and stakeholders will be invited. I'll also preference that like you can get involved with encore. You don't have to take a leadership role. There's folks in the room that aren't chairs of anything, but they've been invited to the planning committee, and it's a fun place to be, but it's a lot of work. It's an energy draining. It's also like where we get to give our input to encore and the rest of the other caucus groups. So, but whoever is within the leadership, for sure, our hope is to send you to Oklahoma City this summer, the first weekend of August. And then the other things too around retaining and recruitment, onboarding, if folks are interested in taking up leadership and nominations go through, we'll be doing onboarding through the summer, leading up to the summer retreat, and from there on out, the work begins. So yeah, that's some of the work. Considerations, like I mentioned, there's other avenues for the planning process. We're always looking for board members for encore. So the National Advisory Board, putting in an application, that's a place to go to. I'm actually, when I'm done with this, the plan is to step down and then submit my name and whoever else's name is to the National Advisory Board. I think if we really want to exist and like infiltrate encore, we have to think about all the levels and find our way in there. Well, this is not my forte. I'm so bad at this. I know 350 Pacific's in the room. We always put things online. I post like once a year. We'll create social media outlets to stay connected to folks, or somebody will make it. Anything you contribute today and tomorrow, if like this is all you can give, it goes a long way. Like those recommendations that we get and we take to Oklahoma City, it's like a real battle of the minds of like, how are we going to organize our thoughts and all the folks we want to try and get into encore. And then I'll also say workshop evaluations also play a role in the future presentation invites. So if you are showing up to any one of our NHPI workshops that are happening, please fill out the evaluation form for that workshop. High rated scores will be considered priority through the encore selection process. So make sure we're also voting for, not voting, it's like, not Ian told me we're not voting for workshops. But we talk about Ian Tony, my mom loves that guy more than she loves me. Does anyone have that problem? She cried when he won. I was like, I do that too, Mom. I play the guitar. He's good though. Caucus chair's responsibilities as of now, we don't have anything on paper, but this is how most folks function. They're about 2-year terms. We try to keep 2 or 3 people in rotation. I think the goal is, because I'm still on, to get 2 folks. And as we transition those folks in, I can transition out, and at next year's encore, we'll we'll get the 3rd person through. Other expectations is if you are chairs and these are things you're considering, is like, we need to know that you're gonna attend the conferences going forward, and that you're gonna be able to make planning retreat meetings as well. It's just the burden of being on the chair, to be in the chair position, that we need folks to be in the spaces where the decisions are made. We also know life happens, and so we're not gonna go hunt you down if you can't make it. But if at all possible, you know your schedule is clear. These are the things you can consider if you want to take up nomination for the chair. Workload wise, I mean, it's like a monthly check-in, 3 to 6 hours a month. That's like when we're getting busy. So it's not a big lift. I mean, a lot of it's like your own, whoever's sitting in this space, whoever on the planning committee, it's just like, you're just talking to people a lot. I mean, I spend a lot of time on the phone asking people if they can present, do this, are you available, is that kind of thing. And then you'll be planning the future and ocncore gatherings for the conference. So something to think about as we kind of get into that conversation later. And this is the picture from the year we had the first ocncore meeting. You see Dr. Paleta in the front, and I'm somewhere in the back, just chilling. Okay, so that's enough for me. I'm looking at the time. It is 12. We're going to try to mix this up a little bit, and we'll take some notes here on the board when people start to share out. But this is a good time for us to just be in community for a little bit. So we're going to do some like popcorning around, and you're going to get up if you're able and introduce yourself to someone you don't know, your name, pronouns that you'd like to share, institution, organization. And the first question that folks are going to be asking each other, the prompt for the first question you ask your stranger is, what workshops sparked your interest this year? So we're going to ask you to get up or just talk to somebody next to you, and you're going to answer that first question. We'll do that for we'll give you 3 minutes. Each. Yeah, we're at the top, right? All right, so just getting enough call time out. But first question, what sparked your interest in this year's Ocncore?
San Francisco. Workshop that sparked my interest this year was where they talked about how Palestine's fight is very similar to Hawaii's fight in terms of occupation and dealing with that. I thought that was pretty cool. They brought back this has been going on for decades, not just since October 6th. But I thought it was pretty interesting. How about you?
In fact, just answer all 3. I just realized this is not really difficult questions. You can just answer all 3 amongst your partner.
Do you know like where? It's like all the way north where I was
From Portland?
east, yeah.
Oh. Oh, okay. San Francisco, yeah. Oh.
Where is Washington State University?
Like the state of Washington. So, like Seattle.
Oh, okay, okay.
And I work for one of our state agencies, so I support other colleges in Washington as a director for it.
We are planning to have a PISA conference up there.
I know I was talking about.
Yeah.
What does that stand for? Yeah.
Global Alliance National Network. I'm from FSM and FSM Marshall and Palau. We're co-foundations. I work for Fantasy nonprofit as well organizations in Oregon. We help community members find like all these resources that are available. Find SNAP if they are eligible and stuff like that.
Are there a lot of Polys at your school?
Huh?
Are there a lot of Polynesians at your school? Or?
Not really. We do have maybe we can have like 6 or 4 coming through every year, and we have a couple of we mostly have from the foundation. Yeah, we come there on the islands.
Oh, are you recruiting right now?
Huh?
Are you recruiting right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to everywhere I go. I try to invite my family.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We have 2 minutes, 2 minutes.
Yeah, because I do want to build family. We just had
Oh yeah. How that turn out?
it was really fun after the pandemic. That was our first time we get together, and it was a sold out show.
Yeah, that's good.
But it was just waiting for it to
Oh, that's cool.
High Street Inn tonight from 6 to 9. So this is directly after the keynote. We're headed to Side Street Inn